Tuesday. Hi and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. Today we are reviewing a film called The Driver starring Mark Dacascos. This is not to be confused with the early 90s film called Driver, which also starred Mark Dacascos, and he's also in the film, but he does a lot of martial arts in that film. It's one of the films that it was one of those films that you love way back when, but when you watch it again, and it hasn't aged well apart from the martial arts. It is one of the films that got me into doing what I do today, so I have to be thankful for that. So when I saw a film that Mark Dacascos did called Driver, and then this one called The Driver, I thought, wait, is this an unofficial sequel? It's not. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world with zombies. There's been hundreds of these, obviously. Mark Dacascos as a character, he's a married man, he's got a daughter and a wife, he lives in the compound, and previously he was a hitman. This film is a family affair, and I'll get into that in a bit. But I can't stand here and say this film is good, because by no means is it good, which hurts my heart to say. And I hate coming down hard on films. I mean, I rarely do. I am the guy that, loves bad sci-fi films, and I normally give them a pass. This one, wow. So the first 25 minutes of the film is establishing what's happened in this world, the rules, the law. Mark being the guy, the security that needs to protect everybody, and we have an action sequence when their compound gets attacked. Don't worry, this is in the synopsis and trailer. I'm not doing any spoilers. The main bulk of the film is a road trip. So the action sequence in this compound is very similar to moments that you might get in John Wick 3, where it starts feeling like the character that you see him in John Wick 3. I thought he was excellent in that. And so here, it gave me a little bit of hope. Even though we've had terrible acting and terrible moments and terrible zombies before this, the compound action scene gave me hopes, going, okay, this might not be as bad as I thought. That is the best action scene that you're going to get. After it's a road trip of driving, of repeated scenes. They pretend that it's a new place that they've arrived at, but it's exactly the same shot. When you see zombies, and they allow you to see the zombies, because most of the time they're cut because of budget constraints. So when you see a bunch of zombies jump on a body, they don't actually show like any blood. You just see zombies kind of huddled over a body, and you have to imagine that they're eating, because they're not really going to show much gore. There are a couple of times where they do show gore, but not as much as I fully expected. They had to, I guess they had budget constraints on gore and blood and all of that as well. For the zombie makeup, they look mostly like mine, even less than mine. You will see that their hands don't have makeups on, a lot of them, or makeup down their neck and cheek. It doesn't look like they've been infected anywhere else but some of their face. There was two zombies that I saw a bit of prosthetic makeup on the side of the face, and I appreciated that. I thought, okay, that looks great. There's also zombies that don't know how to be zombies. Right near the beginning, there's a bell that draws in zombies, and the way some of the zombies walked was just hilarious to me. Sometimes the one would kind of skip and then start running, and there was no like kind of contorted movements like a zombie actual walk. It just felt like people had makeup on there and they were kind of walking weirdly, not really zombie-like. These zombies are also fast when they need to be, and when they need to be slow, they are also slow. There are moments with gun shootouts where the eye lines of the characters are shooting randomly, which you don't get to see what they're shooting at. The film will make budget constraints there again and cut to what has happened afterwards, just bodies on the floor. But for the most part, you see people shooting like this, very quickly, like this, and like this, and the sound effects will make you going, wait, why does that sound like a firecracker? It's like a heavy firecracker. That is not how a gun sounds. I know, because I have shot a few varied different types of weapons. I grew up in South Africa. I've gone to clay pigeon shooting. We've had a few, in my lifetime. I understand what the sound sounds like. I also understand what the Hollywood gunshots sound like, and it's missed the beat on both of those. Then we get the car scenes, which are really weirdly filmed, because for the most part they have this great stretch of road that they film over and over again, from different angles, from around the corner. It just feels like they've repeated the road, and they have, because obviously that one shot that they repeated where they stop and they're like, oh, this is a new place. No, it's not. And then they do kind of green screen around the car, and we get one of the characters driving, moving the steering wheel, and then we see the footage turn around. This happens a lot. But no one's turning the steering wheel, and they're looking around. The eye lines for the direction, it feels like the camera didn't know where to be, or the direction didn't know where to tell the actors to look. Because a lot of the time it just felt like they were shooting zombies that were in the air or too low, but the characters were further away. And that really confused me. I was like, that's an easy fix. There's also a lot of this film that you could just cut out. The first 20 minutes of this film, there's a 10-minute sequence you didn't need to have. There's a lot of exposition throughout the film. Mark Dacascos' character likes to do exposition to kind of tell you what's happened before in their lives. This is exposition heavy. Again, talks about budget constraints. So those are all the negatives. Here's the positive. If you happen to own the DVD or the Blu-ray, did I say positives? Here's the positives. If you buy the DVD or Blu-ray, there's a behind-the-scenes footage, how they made this. And for me, that was the best part of the movie, the behind-the-scenes footage. Mostly because you get to find out how this film came to be. Mark Dacascos, one of his best friends, asked him to be on it. And when he read the script, he really liked the idea of it and said, yes, I will do it. And so, being a man of his word, he waited till he's finished his project, and he jumped on board with this. Now, the wife you see, the character that plays the wife of the Mark Dacascos character, the previous hitman, is actually his real wife in real life. And so that was a very nice dynamic. In fact, when they're doing scenes together, it's believable, and that is the reason why. I believe this is like the second time they've acted together, so that was really nice. But to add another kind of quiver in the family event, the daughter that you see, that is their daughter in the film, is also his real life daughter, and this is the first time that they've acted together on screen. So I thought that was beautiful. It's like let's do this film together. Let's kind of do this film for a friend. Like if I had a few famous friends and I wanted to do a short film, I would totally call them in. And if they said yes, I'd be so happy. I wouldn't want to make them look bad. I would do my best as possible, and that's probably what's happened here. They had budget constraints and location issues. But if you look at other films with similar budgets, a lot more has been done with it. So I don't know. It probably comes down to filming technique experience. I'm not saying I could do better. Not until you're doing it there and you're filming it and you're directing. I've worked on some features. I've worked on some shorts. And no one really understands how hard it is to make a film until you do it. So there's definitely moments in this film that you can be proud of. I think it'll be a fun drinking game. Every time you notice something that isn't quite right, I think you could get very drunk off this game. Zombie drinking drunk game. That should be what it's called. It's definitely worth watching because of Mark Dacascos. If you're a diehard fan of him, I think you'll enjoy what he brings to it. But for the most part, this is one of the worst films I've seen, and it's definitely the worst film I've seen in 2020. But that's not saying much because not many films have come out in 2020. So let me know in the comments below. What did you think? Have you heard of this? Are you going to watch it? Do you like low budget kind of adventure zombie horrors? This might be your cup of tea then. I watched it because I'm a fan of Mark Dacascos, and I got sent a screener, but I'm not sure I would pay for it. If it's streaming on his service, like on Netflix or Amazon, I probably would have gotten around to it because I'm a fan of his, but I can't see anybody else enjoying this. Just click on the links of people who have reviewed this, and you will see that they have not enjoyed this film. I think I've been more positive than most, unfortunately. Hurts my heart, but it definitely is a family event. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching this review, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.